so as any Texan would, she used her bare hand to try unblocking the toilet. Home alone, Gracie intended her turd twiddling to be
What it is, guys, it's your boy BlastphamousHD, and I wasn't even gonna watch this video, honestly. I figured it was gonna suck until I watched about a good 12 seconds of the video and realized that it truly is people doing really stupid stuff. Now, with that being said, if you guys want to watch the original video, the link's in the description down below. My body is ready.
So, you might not understand quantum physics, you might not grasp the complex intricacies of political history, and maybe you don't know how to use an Oxford comma. But none of that matters, because coming up, I've got some of the most terminally stupid people in the world, whose unintelligent antics are sure to make you feel a whole lot smarter. From DIY disasters and culinary catastrophes to not-so-cunning criminals and cosmetic mishaps. Stay tuned, because this is People Doing Stupid Things, Part 3. There are many reasons why a person might turn to crime, though oftentimes it's due to a severe deficiency of brain cells. Thanks to this terminal stupidity, criminals far and wide often find themselves in hilarious, sticky situations. Case in point, one burglar in Maryland attempted to do the old Saint Nick by breaking in via the chimney. His grand heist was thwarted when the fire brigade had to excavate the coal-covered criminal from the chimney after he became thoroughly stuck. Dumb burglar 0, instant karma 1. Elsewhere, in Liverpool, England in 2023, another dim-witted delinquent, otherwise known as Edmund Leica, was wanted by police for possession and distribution of a controlled substance. As the cops raided his house, Edmund had what seemed to him the genius idea to hide on the roof. And sure, this evaded one police officer, though his roof-rambling ways were no match for the police helicopter when it captured this hilarious mugshot. As a result, Edmund was ultimately jailed for 2 years and 4 months, but the wonderful captured moment will last forever. Now, everyone knows that rule number 1 of crime is to always cover your tracks. It's like the first thing they teach you in criminal school. Still, when this criminal dumped tons of his trash in the countryside of Cambridgeshire in the UK, he foolishly left some of his mail, complete with his address, amongst the junk. With the litter bug easily located, he was rightfully fined a hefty $300. But if that sounds a lot, just consider that this next airhead was responsible for damages worth $42,000 when she visited an art exhibition in Miami. Having come across one of Jeff Koons' iconic balloon dog sculptures made from porcelain, the bemused woman audaciously prodded at the priceless work to determine whether it was a real balloon or not. And considering that real balloons don't typically smash into smithereens like this, it's safe to say that the woman certainly got her answer. Now, growing up, my mom always said, you break it, you bought it. Though, incredibly, this bozo got away scot-free. On the plus side, this seems like the perfect opportunity for the Japanese art of kintsugi, aka the concept of repairing broken pottery by joining the pieces with a gold-dusted lacquer to make the original thing more beautiful and unique than before. Sadly, though, no amount of gold can fix stupid. Just ask the businessman who spent $240,000 on a solid gold shirt. Does that seem like a savvy investment to you? Now let's move on to some folks whose dumb decisions got them into some very dirty situations indeed. Now, allow me to paint you a picture. Back in 2017, Liam Smith brought home a date who, for reasons that'll soon become clear, will remain anonymous. For the sake of simplicity, we'll call her Debbie. As the pair chatted over a romantic bottle of wine, Debbie excused herself to go powder her nose, or, in not-so-polite terms, take a big old... Now, here's where things took an extreme turn. The smooth criminal dropped a deuce, but to her horror, the toilet wouldn't flush. Panicked, Debbie quite literally took fecal matters into her own hands as she hurled the turd through the window. But this, I'm afraid, isn't even half of it. You see, Liam's house is pretty unconventional, in the sense that the bathroom window consists of 2 windows with a big gap in between. meaning that when Debbie yeeted her backdoor brownie, it got stuck down in the gap between the two windows. Now, I'd just like to clarify that this was a first date, so you can imagine Liam's shock when his date returned from the little girl's room bearing the news that her captain's log was trapped between his bathroom windows. Nevertheless, Liam ventured forth into the bathroom, and upon seeing how deeply wedged the smelly intruder had gotten, he suggested they smash the window to retrieve it. However, having done amateur gymnastics, Debbie assured him that she could shimmy her way down and retrieve her droppings.
No!
Only in doing so, she became too stuck, and after a lot of struggling, eventually had to be hoisted out by firemen. "This was fun. We should do this again sometime," said neither of them. Now, while Debbie was bold enough to drop her logs on a first date, Irish teen Cara Clark was extremely shy of even farting in front of her boyfriend of 2 years. So much so, she foolishly bottled up her butt burps to the point of giving herself appendicitis, which can sometimes be triggered by long-lasting bodily blockages of this kind. Having suffered the painful consequences of her stupidity, Cara has now vowed to always let it rip, which is not exactly great news for those around her. Now, as a Taco Bell connoisseur, I can assure you that I've clogged a fair few toilets in my time. Now, typically I'll whip out my trusty plunger, but Texas woman Gracie Henderson wasn't fortunate enough to have one on hand when she needed one. So, as any Texan would, she used her bare hand to try unblocking the toilet. Home alone, Gracie intended her turd twiddling to be brief and confidential. But having forgotten to take off her watch, her hand became stuck. A prisoner to the toilet, gross Gracie was left.
Fuck. This shit is not okay, man. This shit is not okay.
No option but to call in the fire brigade. Though when they had to remove the whole system and escort Gracie and her toilet into the yard in order to free her, things only became all the more humiliating. Still, I guess the toilet's unclogged now, right? And for that matter, while we're still on the riveting topic of bogged up poop chutes, using a compressed air cannon isn't an advisable toilet unclogging instrument either, as I'm sure you'll agree after seeing this next clip.
Who thought it was?
I mean, I think it worked. Perhaps a little too well, though the use of a flimsy towel as a poop guard is inadvisable. But as the old saying goes, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Moving on to something a little less filthy. These days, makeup.
Bruh. Come on, bro.
Makeup and cosmetics are a great way for people to express themselves. Though, when in the wrong hands, stupid people's hands, that is, cosmetics can quickly become disastrous, not least hazardous. Take, for example, TikToker Muwak, who wanted to incorporate vampire fangs into a makeup look, but actually stuck them to her teeth with nail glue.
Okay. Okay, oh my god.
Panicking upon realizing they wouldn't come off because, she used freaking glue, she posted a follow-up video explaining how she doesn't even have dental or health insurance. It seemed like she would be forever stuck with these comical canines. However, just a few hours later, after chowing down on some cereal, the teeth miraculously fell out. Now, she may have gotten lucky this time, but it's only a matter of time before she does something ill-advised that's actually permanent, like, I don't know, getting a face tattoo. Oh, wait, never mind. Speaking of which, mirror, mirror on the wall, who has the worst face tattoo of them all? Well, that, I'm afraid, goes to this next woman who made the fatal error of having her boyfriend's name tattooed on her forehead.
Right above her Harry Potter lightning bolt. I see what you did there.
forehead. After they broke up, she was now ready to cover up the tat and put her ex, Derek, in the past once and for all, having presumably learned her lesson about relationship tattoos. Well, not so much. Demonstrating her extraordinary levels of stupidity, she made the inconceivable choice to cover up her ex's name with her new love, Timothy. And should her new relationship fail, well, she's left with two options. Either get it covered up again or only date Timothy's. The only redeeming factor of the tattoo, if any at all, is that it's at least spelled correctly. The same, unfortunately, cannot be said for this next one. After going in for a tattoo of the word Scorpio, as in her zodiac sign, TikToker Kaya McCann was left with an embarrassing typo, as the tattoo actually read Scor-I-Pio. Now, you might be quick to assume that this was a blunder of some pea-brained tattoo artist. However, I wouldn't be so sure. After all, numerous times on her TikTok prior to the tattoo, Kaya misspelt Scorpio as Scoripo. Seems likely to me that it was, in fact, she who misspelt the word when requesting it to the tattoo artist. Still, that is neither confirmed nor denied. Either way, according to LoveToKnow.com, Scorpios are the unluckiest zodiac sign due to being ruled by Pluto, a representation of tragedy. And a tragedy this certainly is. Now, something that rarely goes well is a self-done haircut. It's always best to go to a professional, but if you're still not convinced, then just use this next clip as a cautionary tale. Courtesy of TikToker Emily Webb, the video shows her attempting to give herself bangs, though what ensued might only be described as the mother of all bad hair days. Safe to assume Nick Carter from the Backstreet Boys wasn't the look Emily had in mind, though that, unfortunately, was the consequence of her stupidity. Hair fails are a plentiful crop of the internet, and elsewhere on TikTok, user Roni also attempted to cut herself some bangs, with somehow even less success than the previous clip. Check it out.
Superman, you got a Superman haircut now.
Yikes. I'd invest in a hat or a paper bag if I were her. Not only did she gather too few strands of hair, but she was pulling her curly hair taut and didn't compensate for the loss of length when it bounced back into place. It reminds me of Courtney Cox's bangs from Scream, but impressively worse. Moving on, one of the saddest things about growing up is that they don't make toys for adults. Well, you know what I mean. Still, some adults have foolishly tried their luck at squeezing themselves into child-sized toys only to wind up stuck. Take, for example, this girl who got jammed in this playground equipment. It's unclear why or how she exactly got there, though it looks like Ozzy Osbourne is doing a really great job at rescuing her.
I'm stuck.
Similarly, this guy also tried his luck in the same kind of playground grown-up trap. Would you believe it? To the same effect. These things are like mouse traps, but for idiots. Likewise, one girl had to be rescued by the fire brigade after attempting to slam dunk herself through a basketball hoop. Seems like she forgot the nets get narrower towards the bottom. Hey, 2 points regardless. Our journey of ill-fitting tomfoolery doesn't stop there. In fact, two brainless women's dumb decisions led to them being caught up in a Macy's children's grocery cart. Terminally sandwiched in there, they're now left to wander the earth like Siamese crabs, pathetically scuttling their legs to propel their wheels. Sadly, though, this fatal condition affects dumb people all around the world, as can be seen here when this drunken rascal from Yorkshire, England, also stumbled his way into a child's car.
I know how to do it. I know how to do it. Right? You grab me from behind.
Tell us.
No, you grab my arms.
Right.
And I reckon if they pull it from front.
1 second, go, 1 sec.
Right.
Can you get your arm?
Yeah.
I'd help, but I can't stop laughing.
No,
No matter.
arms.
No, 1 second, wait.
Just grab my arms. Right.
No.
You don't pull it from underneath.
Jesus
You're
Christ.
like,
And this, kids, is why you should never drink and drive. Truth be told, though, we all do stupid things when we've had a few Shirley Temples. Though I must say, despite my many drunken disasters, this next one beats them all. Back in 2022, Lindsay Clark and pals were enjoying a boozy, bottomless brunch in North Shields, England, when one of their jackets fell behind the booth. It was then that Lindsay made the fatal error of attempting to retrieve the jacket, and this is what ensued.
That definitely doesn't look fun. For the guys holding her vagina up.
Talk about bottoms up, right? It's times like these you really are grateful for phone cameras. That said, I certainly wasn't grateful for phone cameras at last year's work Christmas party. Yikes. Let's not pull on that thread. Moving on, though, it takes a special kind of stupid to lock yourself in a dog crate by, accident. Unbelievably, this genuinely happened to a California couple, Stephanie Ferrari and her husband, Jared. The pair were filming a video for Stephanie's TikTok account where she shares dog training tips. But as you'll soon see, what was captured on their home security cameras certainly isn't a dog care technique you should aim to repeat.
Good boy. Good boy.
Simp.
Can I baby?
Or maybe that's just how y'all get down.
Jerry, wait. Okay, kid, I know. I'm sorry, bud. Oh my god. Why didn't we think of that? Oh, kid, I know.
All I can say is that if two people are both dumb enough to hop inside dog crates that don't open from the inside, then they're clearly made for each other. But while Stephanie and her husband weren't exactly fans of being in the doghouse, one Japanese man's life goal is to, in fact, become a dog himself. So much so, he spent a staggering $14,000 on a hyper-realistic dog suit, which he now strolls around the park in. And while at a glance he may look like a real dog, I can't help but feel like spending that obscene amount of money to be able to crawl around the park trying to convince folks you're a dog is all, little creepy. On to the culinary world now, and cooking, granted, isn't for everyone. That said, there are some numbskulls out there who can't even cook the simplest of dishes. For example, frozen pizza. You take it out of the box and put it in the oven. What could be simpler? One guy even screwed that up after cooking his pizza on a plastic chopping board. Why? Well, his little noggin thought that this would be an effective way to catch any cheese that melts off. Might I suggest, I don't know, a pizza tray? In a similar catastrophic food fail, one family opted for a more exotic evening meal when they decided to cook eels. However, clearly not having the culinary prowess to boot, they failed to realize that eels must be unalived before cooking. Safe to say, they well and truly cooked up a storm. Yikes. I mean, does the 5-second rule apply when your food is still alive, or, Anyway, if eel isn't whetting your appetite, and I wouldn't blame you, then how about a nice big pot of yogurt? Oh, wait, no, I mean paint. Yep, when Alex Stein visited her 90-year-old granddad, Bobby, she discovered that he had consumed half a liter of paint, having mistaken it for yogurt.
This is a grown-ass man.
I mean, I think after one spoonful, I might have realized I was eating paint, never mind half a liter, but hey, that's just me. Even so, Alex confirmed that her granddad was actually completely fine.
I knew this was a man. I refuse to be tricked more than twice. Yeah, I'm saying.
Despite having fluorescent mint green lips. All in all, a tasty meal and a stylish look. Now, Coke and Mentos is perhaps one of the oldest party tricks in the book. Trust me, I've been pranked enough times to know. Even still, one online dolt willingly plopped some Mentos into a bottle of Coke and attempted to drink it. The reasoning behind this choice remains something of a mystery, though I can tell you it went about as well as you can imagine.
He died.
Here we go. How many are you supposed to put in there? I don't know, so we're going to put 2 in there. How about that? Oh, Dan. Oh, here we go. You ready for this right here? Okay, we're going to put 3.
Like somebody who would drink this.
Okay, I don't know what to do here.
Yep. He should have OnlyFans posting content like that. Ha-cha-cha-cha-cha-cha. Ah! Yeah, suck it all, freak. Nasty, man. Yeah, you nasty.
That's some serious.
That's the face of a man who, hopefully, just learned a valuable lesson. As Mentos react with Coke, carbon dioxide molecules attach to the candies, and bubbles form in huge quantities which float up rapidly to blast their way into the face of anyone dumb enough to stand in their way. A very practical science lesson indeed. Boy, we've seen some pretty stupid people so far, huh? When it comes to the ladies, trust me, I know what I'm doing. Slow and steady. So slow, in fact, that the dates never happen at all. Genius, right? See, the last thing you want to do is rush in like Alyssa Thomas and Terrence Green did, or as I call them, Dumb and Dumber. The pair met on a popular dating app, Hinge, and fell madly in love. Only problem being, Alyssa lived in Canada and Terrence in Michigan. Their cyber romance blossomed for a few weeks, and eventually Alyssa visited Terrence in Michigan. Now, it was around this time that Terrence made the stupid and strange decision to tattoo Alyssa's name on his neck. You know, the girl he'd just met. But for Terrence, that didn't matter, as he knew Alyssa was the one. So much so that, in fact, within a matter of weeks, he had moved his entire life to Canada. And while I'd like to tell you that they lived happily ever after just 13 days, Teresa, a.k.a. Terrence, and Alyssa were no more. They broke up after Terrence found himself unable to get along with Alyssa's friends. But hey, at least Terrence has Alyssa tattooed on his neck so he can remember her forever and ever and ever and ever. But move on we must, and here we have yet another Michigan resident demonstrating a remarkable degree of stupidity when he decided to charge at a wasp's nest with a hockey stick.
Yup. Wow! Yep.
He shoots, he scores! Though what the video doesn't show you is the part where an angry swarm of wasps chase after him. Yep, according to Stacy Huntley, the man's fiancée who captured the moment, she had to stop recording as they fled into the house to escape the vengeful wasps. Sadly, all we got a peek at was the initial butt sting before the footage cut off. But the sense of impending doom off camera is still pretty hilarious. From one brain to another, this next guy was attempting to knock down huge icicles suspended from his roof. But for reasons you'll see, it seems he didn't quite think it through properly.
Not towards the window.
I mean, for what it's worth, that roof looked like it was hanging on by a breadstick, so it was only a matter of time. Still, I don't think the guy's intention was to decapitate it, so for that he has certainly earned his place here in my Stupid People Encyclopedia. These days, it can be difficult to be street smart, though here are the basics that everyone knows. Don't walk alone in sketchy parts of town after dark. Don't run aggressively towards large, intimidating gangs. And certainly, don't buy a dog from a mysterious stranger in the middle of the night.
Don't buy anything from a mysterious stranger in the middle of the night. Not gonna make the joke I was about to make because...
Still, one airhead from Kenya did just that. Though the decision, as you can imagine, proved regrettable when it turned out the dog wasn't a German Shepherd puppy as he'd been led to believe, but a literal hyena. He only realized his mistake later the next day when his new pet began acting dangerously, and the police in turn confiscated the animal.
And after what the hyenas did to Scar, I don't think I'd want one as a pet either. Speaking of individuals reaching the end of the road, visiting the cemetery
Niggas out here trapping hyenas?
Isn't exactly anyone's idea of fun.
Though put yourself in Sylvia Ross's shoes and imagine being told that the grave of your late father, that you've been visiting for the past 43 years, is actually the grave of a complete stranger called Frederick Brown. This reality came to light after an internal investigation of records at the cemetery in northeast England discovered that the grave had been labeled with the wrong person's plaque for all those years. Yep, thanks to some outrageous incompetency, this gravestone mix-up meant Sylvia and her family had been paying their respects in completely the wrong place for decades. On the bright side, I bet the ghost of the fellow who's actually buried there has been feeling a lot of love all this time. Moving on, we all face technical difficulties at some point or another, though one group of people who are especially allergic to technology is old people. That said, their lack of technological fluency can make for some great entertainment. Case in point, when Twitter user Chris Arnold's dad attempted online shopping for reading glasses, he ironically misread the quantity and wound up with 60 pairs of glasses. With a blunder like that, perhaps he did need all those glasses after all. In another OAP computer faux pas, this Italian priest endearingly attempted to live stream a mass during lockdown. Though, as you'll soon see, there were, shall we say, a few wardrobe malfunctions.
Buonasera. Ci ritroviamo insieme per pregare, io in chiesa e voi a casa. Oggi è venerdì di Quaresima e vogliamo pregare per la Via Crucis.
Ooh, is that in the
I mean,
video?
it was a valiant effort, even if space-age headgear and fedoras, activated via accidental video filter usage, aren't part of the traditional regalia. Nevertheless, being divinely in touch with God and technology is a lot to ask of one person. In a similar webcam catastrophe, one individual's work-from-home regime, or lack thereof, was fully exposed to their entire team after making the rookie error of sharing the webcam feed instead of just the audio. Besides the FBI watching your every move, this is why you should always tape over your webcam. If you tuned into the previous episode of this series, you might recall a little segment I introduced called DIY News, a newscast dedicated to the DIY fails carried out by the dimwits of our world. Well, backed by popular demand, here's episode 2 of DIY News. Welcome back to DIY News. In today's headlines, local Idiottsville teen Parker Pannell and his girlfriend became shipwrecked after a failed DIY date. Using an inflatable pool, blankets, snacks, and a MacBook, the pair attempted to create a floating cinema. And while it may have worked in Parker's home pool, it didn't do so well in the ocean. Here's footage from the scene.
Oh my god, Parker. Oh my god, oh my god! Crazy. Oh my god. Oh my god.
Fortunately, both Parker and his girlfriend are fine, though their laptop remains in intensive care at the
Good job, buddy. Literally, that looked like it was really fun for her.
Apple Genius Bar. My tech support team are also now advising me to state that, as ingenious as combining water and electricity might seem, like in the case of these guys running an outlet extension cable into a pool, it might not be the smartest choice due to the risk of something experts are referring to as zappy, zappy, ouchie, ouchie. More on this as it develops. Breaking news. I am just being made aware of an ongoing incident outside a local store. We're now live at the scene, and it appears that a local man has painted himself into a corner. Landlocked by wet paint, eyewitnesses claim he has been stranded there since this morning. Authorities have cordoned off the scene to prevent any further casualties, and a rescue squad has been deployed. Though first responders claim nothing can be done while the paint remains wet. We will leave a correspondent at the scene to watch as the paint dries. Updates to follow. Now, is your home one of the many in Idiottsville affected by completely ineffective toilet outlet disorder? Well, new evidence shows that, similar to light switches, outlets must be fitted to walls and connected to the main electrical source and not toilet seats in order to actually be effective. This will undoubtedly prove life-changing for Idiottsville residents who for years up to now have been stumped by this. More head-scratching home improvement moments now as shared online by Idiottsville residents. First up, we have one DIYer who attempted to fit their own baseboard. Evidently not having the carpenter's touch, they conjured up a Jenga-like configuration of off-cut wood. I mean, if you squint, it kinda looks less dreadful. Coming in next, one DIYer was confused as to why his door wouldn't close. It soon became apparent that he had fitted the door handles the wrong way. Happens to the best of us. But speaking of disastrous DIY doors, check out this makeshift car door lock made from a chain and padlock. A perfect example of, if it works, it works. Paint job be damned. Moving on, another DIYer was so hard at work that he unwittingly got his ladder tangled up in the wood he was assembling. Just so many questions. Perhaps next time, he could use the same method as these two stooges. Perfectly safe, right? And finally, take a look at this picture captured in an Idiottsville public restroom. What's more concerning is that I would assume this was done by a professional, one whom clearly interpreted the term public restroom quite literally. At this level of exposure, what's the point of even bothering with doors? Either way, that, ladies and gents, is all from me and the team here at DIY News. Good night. So that brings...
Even if you jacked yourself up like any of the people in this video, look on the bright side. Even if you super glue your butt cheeks together, you still have one swollen opening left. Good luck rerouting power. BlastphamousHD out.